This episode of the My Latin Life podcast is brought to you by Language Blend, the new best way to learn Spanish. Language Blend focuses on what you actually need to live and get by abroad with daily one-on-one lessons, a dedicated texting partner. It's like living in a Spanish-speaking country without ever leaving home. Go to languageblend.com for more information. Welcome back to the My Latin Life podcast. Since 2014, My Latin Life has been your trusted guide to traveling and living in Latin America. My guest today is Ben Bankas, Canada's only funny comedian. Ben, how's it going, man?
That's a very nice compliment. I don't know if it's true, but because Norm Macdonald, well, he's dead, but it's going okay, man. I have not escaped Canada. I'm in Canada, and there's always something going on. This week was Trudeau was stuck in India, and he's on the tarmac, and the Indians wouldn't let him leave or something, and nobody really knows. And now there's all these new incentives, as you know. Many of your listeners who have left the country in search of a better life know that housing is a huge issue. So how do they solve all issues in Canada, or at least how does the Liberal Party, in my opinion, solve those issues? They solve it with basically communism, I guess. I don't really know. Like there's like they're like, we have a new housing incentive. It's where the government owns the house, and you like, it's just like, what are you talking about? So it's craziness. Everything happening here is just driving me nuts.
So for the listeners, Ben, as we mentioned, really has no connection with Latin America. So you might be wondering, what the hell is this Canadian comedian doing on the podcast? Well, I discovered Ben, I think through Instagram originally a couple months back. And he's really one of the only comedians that he's like part comedian and part freedom fighter. And he's talking about COVID. He's talking about the woke stuff. He's talking about, Canada being communist. Really, a lot of the things that my audience identifies with, anyone from Canada, the US, Europe, and basically how everything's going downhill. And Ben just does a very good job of pointing out these issues in a very funny way. And so that's kind of what this episode is about, is really just kind of riffing on how screwed up and in decline Canada is, and hopefully people appreciate it. But at very least, it was just selfish of me because I think your comedy is hilarious. Like, I literally am drop on the floor laughing, and so it's good to connect, Ben.
That's very cool. No, I appreciate that. And I try to keep it funny. I mean, and my thing's like, I don't want to be a freedom fighter. Like, really, like, I'm not like, I don't have a fuck Trudeau flag on my F-150, and I'm not like that. But it just feels like I just have to say what I think. And like, I grew up laughing a lot as a kid, and like, I didn't have like an easy upbringing necessarily. Like, like, my parents divorced, this, that, like, kind of regular white kid trauma. But there was always humor around. It felt like no matter how bad life would get, like, you could turn on the TV and there was just like the most vicious, hilarious humor on TV and everywhere. And now that humor is basically you're being told that it's illegal. You're not allowed to
Like
laugh at
South
that
Park
stuff.
humor. Like, you do like South Park
Basically,
humor, I feel. And they're
yeah.
basically
South Park
saying like
was
South Park humor isn't allowed anymore, or Futurama humor.
pretty well, just like anything humor, like people say South Park because it's memorable, but if you would think of any movie before like 2010, like, they're all funny. They're not all funny, but they're not
It's
sensitive.
raunchy. Yeah.
They're not sensitive. They're not being
Mhm.
sensitive to. They're just attacking things head on. And I think that that's a better way to have people cope. Like, you're in Latin America and they have comedy there, and I don't think it's woke. Like, it's not. They don't give a shit because they're like, it's tougher down there. It's tough. Like, for regular people, it's tougher, right? Like,
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah,
now,
that's a
because
good point.
Canada seems like it's getting tougher every day.
And let's give people a little bit of a sense of it for people that are not familiar with your comedy yet. So, a couple of the gags that come to mind are Muslims saving the whites from the gays, Chinese mayors and the irony of Chinese mayors overseeing COVID, Trudeau
Yeah,
destroying Canada, immigrants coming to suck your man's dick. What else? What
yeah.
are some of your big gags?
Well, like recently, like the mayor of Toronto, who is now Olivia Chow, who is like she just happens to be Chinese, but like the funny part about it is that you know our country is being kind of infiltrated by China. Like it's like Chinese money kind of rules over the country, and people don't even realize it. Like with the amount of um, foreign investors that come into Canada and buy real estate, and then they use it as a bank account as a way to get around like communist policies in their own countries. And then our country is like slowly moving towards being more like their country. It's to me, it doesn't it makes sense to you have a country where you have every different race in it, and you're not allowed to make fun of any of those different races unless you are of those races. That is basically the kind of unwritten rule that the woke or whatever the left leaning media talks about. And like a guy like me 20 years ago, maybe I would have worked for CBC and I wouldn't have like things weren't as crazy, so my opinions wouldn't have seemed as crazy. But now it's like you have to do everything on your own. So, but yeah, I make fun of Olivia Chow, the mayor. I also ran for mayor as a joke, but did it seriously and pretended to be her. I dress up as her sometimes and do a Chinese accent, and people love it. And people,
Let
it's
let me play
cathartic.
that. Let me play that for you. I actually have the Theresa Tam one ready to
You play the
go.
Theresa. So Theresa Tam is Canada's Dr. Fauci, right? And she, for some reason, has come back after she was the one who basically was telling us we're going into lockdown and get a vaccine and do all this stuff, and now she's back saying do the same things, and they're basically threatening Canadian citizens with we're gonna put more measures in place to fight COVID, which are gonna screw up your business, and that's the craziest thing to me. Like
Mhm.
when people are like, "How it's racist that you're making fun of," I don't give a fuck because this person's uh, dictating my life. I should be allowed to make fun of them in a free country. Like you should be allowed, and I am allowed. So
hmm And
let's
we'll
hear it.
put a pin in the running for mayor because I definitely want to come back to that because I want to run for mayor too one day. So hopefully I can get some tips from you. But let's play this clip off my phone into my mic.
Okay, I haven't spoken in a while. My English not so good. Yeah, so let me just clarify a few things. First of all, I want to congratulate another Chinese woman, Olivia Chow. She's a very smart woman. I know she has a couple side effects from a vaccine, but she otherwise she do pretty good. So personally, I do not take a vaccine. I took a what you call is a water. You put the water in the vaccine needle, you put in the arm. That's what we give to all the politicians so that
Little
they don't have
placebo.
a side effect. Certain politician, maybe the right wing politician, we give the real vaccine so that then they have a side effect. And then hopefully after a couple of months they drop dead. That's what we want. So
Drop dip.
Canadian scientists been putting a lot of work into doing this. Mainly people let me see here. Let me check my list. Oh yes, the Science Center in Toronto, which Doug Ford wants to make into a big casino to do Chinese Rush Hour 5, maybe film the movie. But I do not wonder.
I'll
Okay,
stop it there.
bro, is this
it's
you?
it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I'm happy people love it, and it's what makes people laugh. But a lot of it is, I mean, so it's like conspiracies and also some truth to it. Like I don't know if any of that's true. But to me, like I know that the CEO of like Pfizer didn't get a vaccine, so that to me that's like that's fucked up. Like, and then the other guy, the Tedros guy, the head of the UN or WHO, he literally was like, "Yeah, I'm waiting until all of Africa gets vaccinated first." He's like, yeah, I'm not, I don't want to get vaxxed before. Like, I'm saving my vax for them." It's like, dude, it's so obvious what you guys are doing here. Like, it's so ridiculous that people are fucking believing that, oh,
Yeah.
well, the CEO didn't get it because he's good. He wants me to get it. Like, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, yeah. And just so people know, this whole episode is not going to be us, slamming COVID, because to me that honestly is like a little boring and in the past anyway. So
Yeah.
Ben, I'll hit you with one more clip. This one's my
I hope it's in the past.
this one's my favorite one. This one just like resonates with me a lot. So I'll play it.
You see that woman said, fuck you? I would cheat on that bitch. That's my exact point. You're right there. Fuck you. No, I'm gonna go find an immigrant. That's what white women don't understand. Trudeau's bringing 500,000 immigrants here a year to suck your man's dick. And guess what? After they suck his dick, they're gonna not talk and make some. And I'm not talking about white women make something like I heated up something in the microwave. I'm talking about a third world fucking meal. I'm talking the whole house smells like spices. And there's presentation on the plate. And she I don't know, bitch. I don't know, bitch.
I love that one. I love that one.
Is that are you? Did you find an immigrant?
Yeah, you could say that.
You moved to where the immigrants are.
I went to the source.
You head to the source. Yeah, I mean, well, Canadian white women are privileged in they don't really give a shit about pleasing men for the most part. Like I think smaller town women's different, but like there's a lot of guys in Canada that really just want to have families with somebody who loves them, and like that's not possible. So then they just basically have to fuck a million people because they don't know what else to do with their time. And that's the only thing they're getting from these women is like sex. Um, they're not getting the basic family kind of stuff. They don't feel loved. They don't feel cared about. And it's like you have in Canada, if you want that, like you have to make a lot of money. Like you can't just be a regular guy. I think at least, unless I don't know, maybe I'm wrong though. But there's always girls out there like I hate when a man has money. Like shut the fuck up. I hate that. That the fucking lie of like no, he's just gotta be cool. No, then you're a loser. That's almost unattractive to me that you don't want me to be rich at this point.
So, do you think if you didn't do the Chinese accent, you'd be free and clear? Do you think that's the only one that people have a problem with? Or is it
No.
really a little bit of everything? Because you talk about trans, you talk about woke, all this other stuff.
People, I mean, the people who have a problem with me have a problem with a lot of people. They have a problem with, anybody who dares to make fun of the things that they think are sacred. It's the same ideas of like ultra religious people, like, don't you dare make fun of Jesus. It's the same thing to me. Like, it's wokeism is kind of like a religion now. So, if you make fun of if you do something that's goes against what you learn in sensitivity training courses or whatever the fuck, then they're gonna say that that's bad and it should, and then they're gonna get crazy like some of my haters, and they start emailing venues and sending links to the videos you just showed, and we're like, how can you have a man in your if you do this, we're gonna make sure your establishment gets bad reviews or whatever they're threatening, and then the establishment takes it down, cancels my shows, which has happened at a few venues.
Yeah, can we
Not at
talk
Yuck.
about that? So, you're,
Sure.
touring Canada a bit, you're doing comedy shows all over,
Mhm.
and people are emailing the venues and writing like huge paragraphs saying, do not book Ben Bankas, cancel his show.
Yeah. Yeah, they're basically like spam emailing the venues, and so Yuck Yucks, which is the main comedy club chain in Canada where I perform, has said that like obviously they don't give a fuck and they're not gonna cancel me. But then if I tried, but I could make more money if I did it at a theater venue where I could spend 1,500, $2,000 and sell 400 tickets,
Right.
right? Versus sell 100 or sell 300, and I have to give away like a pretty big chunk to Yuck. So these theater venues are all woke, I guess, and they just fold under pressure. What I find weird is a couple of the venues, once I announced that they've canceled me, my fans go and give them a bad rating, right? Which is what they're claiming to be worried about, I
Oh,
guess.
cool.
Oh, we're going to lose our reputation if we put Ben Bankas on. So then they don't. And then my fans go and comment on their shit and leave all these negative reviews. And then what do? They delete all the comments. I even one of the venues went from a 4.6 rating to a 4.3 because of my fans. And then they somehow like contacted Google and it went right back up to a 4.6 and all the reviews were gone. So
Mm.
my question is, why can't they do that the other way around? If they're so, if they're willing to do that for my fans and they don't care about the reputation of that my fans think or have of them, why do they why do they give a shit about anybody else? And why can't they just delete those comments or emails that come in? So it's super hypocritical, and it's really just disgusting, and it's rampant in Canada. There's only certain venues that won't care or understand, hey, this is comedy, yeah, this is good for business, people hate it, great, come see it, we're going to do it. Yuck Yucks recognizes that it's good for business, but everybody else is basically trying to distance themselves from doing anything controversial, and part of the reason for that is because these venues are subsidized by the government. They get
Mm.
money
Right.
on
They get the film credits and all that stuff.
they get grants or
Grants.
whatever, and to say, oh, we this percentage of our of what the performances are trans or are black or indigenous or whatever it is,
Right.
and
There's
if they
Canadian
have
culture grants, and a
right.
lot of Canadian people in the arts wouldn't be able to survive without these grants.
Correct, because mostly because most of them are terrible at their art, so they have to
Right.
get a
Like
grant
if you
from the
film a
government to
movie in Canada, the Canadian government will pay for like 25% of the production
right.
costs, stuff like that. And so in that
Yes.
way, the Canadian government is really like holding the entire Canadian artistic community at ransom.
100%. And they know it, and all these venues, when they had to be closed for COVID, they got they had to get they became indebted to the government through the form of like whatever those bailout, like things were, those people, government funds were paying for a lot of businesses had to get those loans from the government, the COVID loan, to be able to
Mhm.
stay open, right? Like they took a loan and the government said, oh yeah, low interest, and you can, but it's like basically the government now owns your business because and I think that scares even though I don't think it really has an effect on who they put on stage. I think it scares a lot of these businesses who are also getting these
Mhm.
basically these woke grants. I hate to say woke and woke and woke, but
Grants.
that's what they are. I mean, you can't get a grant by being like, look, I'm making fun of Theresa Tam, she's and doing a Chinese accent. They're like, no, right? But if I was Chinese and I said I was doing this, they'd be like, maybe, right? So it basically it's all race related. Like it's actually more racist, the reaction that they're having to me trying to make jokes than me actually making the jokes, I think.
So let me ask you a question, because the only time I've heard of this happening before, Ben, is with the Montreal comedian Mike Ward. Do you know about Mike Ward and what happened in that situation?
Yeah, I mean that was almost different because he didn't really get I don't think he got canceled from
They
venues
tried
per
to.
se.
He went to the Supreme Court.
He had to go to the Supreme Court, but like venues, I think were actually standing behind him because it was like Quebec, where they have a bit more of a culture of like protecting their artists. But this has happened with American artists in Canada. Andrew Schultz, most recently, like 2 years ago, was supposed to do Massey Hall, and then like the day of, or like 2 days before, they were like, nope, because somebody, they got emails and somebody sent a video of him saying, doing some accent or making some joke about some group of people, and they were like, yeah, that's nope, we're gonna cancel it. And he had to move all of his tickets to another venue, to I think it was to Danforth Music Hall or some other theater. But it's
Mhm.
like, what the even American artists, if they come here, are at risk of this. And
Wow.
now none of the theaters will do it because it became a huge thing. Like any theater that's smart will just have the show, because otherwise they just create a whole controversy, and then they make like it makes their venue look terrible, in my opinion, to anybody who's a comedy fan or wants to go spend money at a comedy show. It's like, Oh yeah, Massey Hall. That's the place that literally wouldn't let the guy that I spent $80 for a ticket or $200 for a ticket show up. Like that's insane.
Hmm. So where
So
do you think your
it's
story fits into the history of Canadian comedy and canceling Canadian comedians or Canadian artists in general? Like was there someone before Mike Ward and then there was Mike Ward and then there was Andrew Schultz or whatever? I didn't know about that one. What's the timeline?
well, like Andrew Schultz, American, and Mike Ward's thing happened quite a while ago, and I think the complaint came from like he was making fun of a specific person, a specific like they weren't a government official, they were like a contestant on like
It was a kid
America's
with a
Got Talent.
disability. It was like a kid with a
Yeah,
disability, and he made a joke about a kid with a disability, but he was famous. He was like a famous kid.
yeah, the
And
kid
then
like came after him, like the
and then the
kid's
family
family or
sued
whatever.
him. And
Yeah,
then so Mike Ward took it all the way to the Supreme Court fighting the lawsuit. And I think
and he
he
won.
ended up he won, but he sort of lost. Like he still had to pay like 20 grand out of pocket just for making a joke. So he had to pay for his joke.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good. Like none of that shit's good. And I mean, Mike Ward's thing happened quite a while ago. Since then, there's been like Dave more so in the States. I don't know about just specifically Canada, but like Dave Chappelle was canceled from few
Right.
venues,
Right.
big venues, like big high profile venues. So um this is something that's happening in America too, in
In the
Canada,
West.
mostly in the West, not in Central and South America. I can tell you that there's probably they really don't give a shit if you're able to sell tickets at a venue, they will put you in that fucking venue. Like they need it, they want to make money. They're not there to be like like the moral compass of like what you're talking about is like if you're putting asses in seats, like that's business. So that's why I don't understand um that this is such a Canadian, and then people go, how can you call Canada a communist country? Well, any country that doesn't care about making money but cares about like some sort of ideological like pursuit, and that ideological pursuit, like private businesses are interested in upholding the agenda of the government in their ideological pursuits, like that is not open and free society. That is something else. And I think that part of the way we live now in the West is you pick and choose what you want. You want to live in fascism, you can live in fascism. If you want to live like it's communism, live like it's communism. Go on welfare and blah blah blah. You want to live like it's capitalism, make a ton of money, blah blah blah. But yeah, there's just it's just becoming more and more about controlling people's thought and controlling what they should be able to laugh at and what they should be able to
Mhm.
find funny. And like if the government had if Trudeau could get his way, he would just make it illegal to do what I'm doing and just be like, it's illegal, you can't make fun of politicians, period. Like Trudeau was saying that they're already pushing for this. He was doing a speech a couple weeks ago on the East Coast, I believe, and he was saying like, this is one of the most difficult times to be a politician, like it's so hard. Like what how you have a phone in your hand, you can tweet out what you think. You like everything's super connected compared to being a politician before that. This is
Mhm.
somehow harder. Oh, because you get all this criticism. Well, maybe that's because you're a shitty politician. People are pissed off because you're ruining their lives. That doesn't like, but again, any politician is going to get hate. But Harper was conservative. He never got close to the amount of hate that Trudeau's getting. Like people would be like, fuck Harper, fuck Harper. But if you were to go up to those people and go, why do you hate Harper? Because he's won't allow us to have weed legal, and like that was pretty much the only, like if Harper had legalized weed, like this none of this would have happened. So I'm kind of pissed at him for doing that, because that's why Trudeau won. It was legal weed versus no legal weed. He obviously won.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. Do you think they're going to cancel your bank account? Freeze your bank account?
I mean, I don't think I'm inciting anything, and like or trying to like overthrow anything, so I don't think they will. But like it's possibility maybe one of my videos will go too far and they'll want to, but I just don't think they will. But I think that the people who got their bank accounts frozen are more, I mean, if there was some sort of convoy type thing and I took part in it, or then maybe. But for now, I think they've taken the foot off the brake. But that's why you said COVID's old news. But it's like the government might try to bring back restrictions for it because that's the only way they know how to restrict the population now. They know that if and they can and they know they can get away with it, even if they only get away with it for a bit, and then people revolt and then they go back. Like it gives them the opportunity to go, we have to do this, and then everybody's pissed off and they go, okay, no, it was a mistake, and they go, oh yay, we love that guy now, because he let us free. But it's bullshit. Like the fact that all of the politicians right now are the same politicians as 3 years ago is fucked to me. Like, how is
Mhm.
that possible? Like,
Mhm.
that was obviously a bad time. They made a lot of mistakes. They made everybody's lives terrible. They screwed. They didn't put the proper money into healthcare that needed to be put in, or whatever. Not us. So why are we suffering and they're still making? And now all of those politicians that started right before
Still there.
COVID, they're still there, but they're also worth 10, 15, $30 million more than they were before. Like Doug Ford's worth $50 million. He was worth $5 million at the beginning of the pandemic. Like, what the hell is that? Same with Trudeau. Trudeau's worth like some crazy amount of money now, like 100 million or something. It's like, how? Like, what the hell is that? And then he's what, like, and we don't know anything about these people. How many houses do they own? Where is the, do they have income properties, or what are their investments, or like what? And it's just crazy to me. It's just
Mhm.
really fucking crazy.
Hey guys, quick break from the episode to tell you about Bitrefill. Bitrefill allows you to shop online and in person without banks, converting your crypto directly into merchant balance. We're talking gift cards to Nike, Amazon, Apple, Airbnb, Hotels.com, and many more, all paid for with crypto. Bitrefill offers more than 10,000 gift card options in 180 countries, including the USA, Canada, all across Latin America, including Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Argentina, El Salvador, and many more. You can also apply the code MyLatinLife at checkout to get 10% back on your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information. So let me ask you about your mayoral running for mayor. How did
Yeah.
that go?
I mean, it was kind of a failure in the sense that we only got 203 votes, but we worked pretty hard for those 203. But no, like, I didn't actually put in serious effort to run. We just made a bunch of hilarious videos and got my name on the ballot. It's like $200 to get my name on the ballot, and so I basically paid $1 per vote. It's not bad. And
So how do you get your name on the ballot?
it's $200 and 25 signatures.
Hmm.
That's it. That's literally it. You don't even have to be born in Canada, obviously, because the woman who won wasn't. But you literally, it would have been better if I was Chinese, but I'm not, so I lost. You have to be Chinese to win. Now the mayor of Vancouver's Chinese, mayor of Toronto's Chinese. Not that I have anything against Chinese people or anything, but what, like, I,
It's
I don't like
ironic.
it. I don't like it. I don't love it. Was that, what does that mean? I'm a bad person? I don't know. Like, I didn't like John Tory either. He was a fucking loser. But like, Olivia Chow is literally within weeks of her being here, or month. It's been like a month and a half. Crime is up. Like, people are making, like, there's all these statistics that are. It's like everything's getting worse. Like everything. Like homelessness, overdoses. And it's like, but she's not to blame. It's the guy. What? She's in charge. That's the whole point of becoming mayor. Now you're in charge. Fix it. Oh, you can't? Then you're a shitty mayor. Like, and now she wants to, like, get money for, like, a lot of the things that I joked about are like happening. So I made fake videos saying, like, we're gonna we're gonna create a tax in Toronto and give that money straight to the Chinese Communist Party. Right? That was like one of my election things I was saying, and
What was
she's
your
literally doing
platform?
it.
Can you give us your whole
That
platform?
that was, I mean, we were gonna get make bike lanes are no whites allowed in the bike lanes, so we're gonna have only BIPOC and queer only for the bike lanes, and because we need everybody else, like all the not white people, to bring the white people their food, so we would need the bike
The
lanes to be
Uber
able,
bikes, okay.
yeah, the Uber lanes. And so we had that, and then we had, we're gonna trans trains. We're gonna do transgender only trains, and if you go on and you're not trans, like a drag queen like shoots you in the head or something. I don't know. Um, and then we're gonna have like gender clinics in all the schools. Like you can you can change your gender every day if you want. At the school, they have a surgeon in every school to cut your kid's dick off, and then we'll do and then we'll have a tax on everything. There'll be just an extra tax on everything that will go to China, and we're gonna harbor Chinese. So no, what were we gonna do? Yeah, any Chinese like CCP, like we would harbor them and keep them safe, not from China, like
Asylum.
from where. Yeah, we're gonna give asylum to like I don't know, I forget what I said, but it was hilarious. And we made a video in a Chinese grocery store. We were like we were like holding the little crabs and shit, and we were just like making this video where we're just going around TNT being like, I promise to allow Chinese diplomats to have asylum, and I don't know, we were just like saying crazy stuff, and people love those videos. Like the one that went really viral was I was like, I'm the first transgender mayor, I'm the first trans species mayor. I believe I am Olivia Chow. Like I'm also a human monkey hybrid made in a laboratory in Wuhan, China, and all this kind of crazy shit that because I do a character of where I'm a human monkey hybrid made in a laboratory in Wuhan, China. Because there's an article about how they're making half human, half monkey people in laboratories, and then I thought, well, obviously they'd have a Chinese accent, right? So because they're made in Wuhan,
So it sounds like the
but
the common theme is whatever the woke is advocating for, you just take it to an extreme.
pretty much. And like now, like recently I was talking about Indians shitting, and this wasn't mayor related, but there's another thing. There's a bunch of Indians taking shits. Like Indians take shits on beaches in Canada, and then like think it's like nobody should give a shit. And then like the woke people are like mad, like don't you dare make like they don't even know how to react because it's like obviously they don't want people shitting on the beaches, but they're like woke, so they're like that's racist to say that. That's not happening. Like, yes, it is happening. It's actually racist to me. Like, I'm white and you're gonna take a shit in front of me, and it's racist if I say something. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, I think, like, anyway. So, yeah, I mean, anything that's going on that pisses me off, I try to make fun of and try to make light of, and at least get people to laugh at it because it doesn't seem like any of the stuff that's really annoying is stopping anytime
Well,
soon.
well, it's definitely a good way to spread awareness, I would say, because a
Yeah.
lot of these things I didn't even know about. I mean, Canada's a weird place, right? It's changed a
Mhm.
lot since you were a kid, I'm sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, like there were not Indians shitting on the beaches. Like, like what the fuck? We didn't have Chinese mayors. We didn't have Chinese. We had We had a bird. What was it? Bird flu at one
Yep,
point or whatever it was. Swine
swine
flu.
flu. Yeah.
And it was like nobody goes to Chinatown for like a month, but it was like, oh my god, if you get bird flu, you like nothing happens. And it was the same thing with COVID. It's like, oh, what happens when you get COVID? Oh, you're just like a regular sick. Oh, we have to ruin everything for like it's so I don't know. I think everything post 2020 is like a different era than like basically from like the 80s or 70s to like 2020. Like that was an era of whatever. And now we're in the weird build back better, green, environmentally friendly, global totalitarian UN crazy Klaus Schwab. Like none of that shit exists. Like we people were just like the president and that's it. There wasn't somebody above the president who now apparently is like Klaus Schwab or like whatever. Like these guys are trying to be like above. They're like the government for the government. It's like, and then you know, any country that doesn't want to work with the World Health Organization and all that stuff, then they what do? The International Monetary Fund. They control all the money like of the central banks of the
Hmm.
countries. Like
Hmm.
it's it's pretty intense. Like it's not it, you know everything's kind of scary. Like and Canada has changed in the sense that people are angry in this country. People were not angry 20 years ago in Canada. Like you get to Canada, everybody was laid back, hanging out, chilling. Now people are like fucking mad, including me. Like I just today, some woman was in her car and she had a mask on alone in her car, and I was just like, I'm not moving my car until you take that off. Like because I'm petty, but also like people like the pushback, if you weren't wearing a mask back then, I know you don't want to go back on this, but it's coming back. Not in where you guys are, but here it's like, if you didn't wear a mask in the store, everybody, hey, sir, what are you? Oh, you're trying to kill people? But then it's, now the truth has come out. That was all bullshit. Mask didn't do shit. So now if I see a mask, I should be able to go, hey, what the fuck are you doing? COVID doesn't kill anybody. You're fucking dumb. COVID killed like 30,000 old people that we
What do
all
you think
wanted to die
Canadians
anyway.
are angry at? Why do you think Canadians are angry, struggling, things are different?
Because the government just blatantly does the opposite of what everybody in the country actually wants. Like what the majority of people want does not matter anymore. The government used to govern for the majority, right? Like it's like, what do the majority of people want? We're going to do that. Sorry to the minority, but like this is what we got to do. Now we're governing for the minority of people that are like, I don't like when you say that and you do a Chinese accent. It's a race. Oh, we should have the children should be allowed to choose their gender when they're 4. Like, why are we listening to these people? It's a minority group of fucking, in my opinion, idiotic, people who have no idea about the history of the world, the history of like society. Everything's racist. This, like, I have a joke in my stand up right now where people go, oh, this country was built on racism. It's like, so you're saying it's a good thing? Because it wasn't built on being fucking like, you couldn't have Jacques Cartier couldn't have showed up at being woke with a latte and gone, oh, they're native here. Oh, we better go back. So what it's just this diluting of our society by a minority group, and then the rest of the people are getting poorer and poorer, paying more and more taxes for that minority group. We're paying, our tax dollars are going to converting washrooms in government buildings to transgender and making sure there's, why? I didn't say yes to that, but my money goes to that anyway. But why? It's for a minority. I'm not talking about minority. Oh, but they're trans people, by the way, are way more hated now than they were before this whole bullshit government trans movement. Before the government cared about trans people just existed and everybody was like, oh yeah, trans people, yeah, whatever. But now it's like, oh, trans people can compete against women. Trans people can go into the washroom with it. And it's pissing people off. Like people are just like, and no matter how hard they scream, no, please, no, stop, no, don't do it. For some reason, the corporations and the government, which are working together, which some people would call fascism, and technically it is, are basically saying, no, these are the new rules of society. You have to act a certain way, do a certain thing. Otherwise, we won't give you a job. And eventually, yes, they will start just cutting off people's bank accounts in 20 years. If they, oh, you were caught on Twitter saying that trans people are annoying. So now you don't get to
Mhm.
bank for a month and you're going to be late on your rent and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
it's
That's where
definitely a
it's that.
weird issue, but what sucks is what's tough is it's one issue among many, right?
Mhm.
500K immigrants a year. I think about
Yes.
300K of that go directly to Toronto, and Toronto's experiencing insane growing pains from trying to absorb 300K immigrants per year, which was a pretty bad idea. And it's like the cost of living is rising. It's all these things compounding,
It's
right?
just bad. Yeah, it's compounded. It's just bad government. Like Trudeau's more worried about the trans thing than those things. Like to him, that's like, oh yeah, well, let's, how many immigrants? 500,000. But let's focus on, like he just said this at the G20 meeting. They were like, so what did you contribute? He was like, I was a proponent of gendered language. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, just change it. Oh, go bro, boys and girls. Let's just talk about boys and girls instead of talking about the fact, like you said, 300,000 immigrants to Toronto a year. How is that infrastructure going to handle that? It's not. The people that, like, the government knows that it's not. They're doing it anyway. That's the crazy part. Because why? Because it's woke. It's virtue signal. It's, we want to be the nicest country, so we have to let in the most amount of immigrants. Otherwise, we're racist. Like, it's fucking stupid. That's why people are pissed off. You're right. It's a ton of different issues compounded, but like for people with kids, the trans thing is a huge fucking
Yeah,
issue. Like,
it's true.
I know, I don't know anybody real, like I know so many people doing homeschool now. Like,
Is that
I,
legal in
I
Canada?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I don't know. I hope so.
Sorry,
But
keep elaborating on this because I think this is one of the big reasons families are actually leaving Canada to move to Latin America is so that they can escape some of this stuff.
yeah, well, you want your I rather, people rather the kid just go to a school and learn math and science and leave all the social stuff up to the kids and at on recess and talking about whatever, but that's a huge issue. I think homeschooling. One of my fans was like, "If you're gonna homeschool them, don't register them. Just do it, and then you're fine." Because they're like, once you register, then they start checking on you or something. It's like, what the fuck?
I like
Like
that.
that's crazy.
That's
But
where we're
like, I
at.
don't know. Yeah, but
You have
like,
to
I don't.
register to homeschool your kid.
Yeah, or you can, but then they come and check on you and like make sure you're working on the curriculum, and then they
Shit
can
is
like take your
dystopian.
kid. They can take your kids away if you're like not teaching them about fucking whatever trans or this or that. The other thing is if your kid goes to school one day in Canada and learns about trans and then goes, maybe I'm trans. Yeah, I'm trans. And then they come home and they go, Mom, Dad, I'm trans. If you say no, you're not, you could go to jail or have your kid taken away from you in Canada.
It's scary.
So and how easy is it to convince a child to do that? Pretty fucking easy. Like,
I will give you ice cream if we can take your parents away.
or have you
You're
ever
like, wow,
thought
that's
about
double awesome.
yeah, but have you ever thought about are you actually a girl? Maybe you're a boy. Like if you put that into kids' heads, they're obviously gonna go, yeah, maybe. Like when I was a kid, I probably said some shit like that. Mommy, I want to be a girl. It's a normal like kids seeing it just means I'm attracted to girls or I like girls or I see a girl and I think I wish I was a girl. It doesn't mean fuck we got to get this kid some fucking pills and cut his dick off. Like it's that is fucked. But I don't want to get too into that. But that is another issue that Canadian families are like, what do I do now? So for COVID, it was like you have to have your kid at home, and they're teaching your kid this crazy ideology in your own house on on a computer you're paying for, right? And then now you can take them back to school, but now we're doing all these like secret events and there's like these secret like if you want to tell my teacher that you don't feel like you want to be like I don't know. It's just when I went to fucking high school, it was fun. We laughed, we smoked cigarettes, we fucking made fun of people. And there was a couple gay people. Nobody fucking harassed them. There was a couple like maybe want to be trans type fucking goth weird kids. Nobody gave a shit. But now those kids are getting bullied like crazy because all the kids who are like against the fucking if you're in class and
They're taking it
like
out on the
there's
kids.
they're teaching about this stuff, right? And and then some kid at the classes in the back of the class is like gay or like faggot, right? Or just like
Right.
says
I
something like
remember that
that.
one.
Like just that's how what we used to do.
Yeah.
So that happens, and now there's some kid going, "Why would you say that?" And then that kid's parents go to the teacher, and then this kid's got like it's but then that kid's gonna get bullied forever. And what do you want your kid? What do you want your kids to do? Be the gender they always wanted to be, or do you want them to be fucking rich and successful and happy and have a family? I mean, it's pretty obvious what the answer is, and anybody who's on the side of I just want them to do what they want to do, then you don't care about having a family or like having a name or like keeping your family alive. You just care about nothing really. You're just like, oh yeah, I had a kid and I don't give a fuck and go to like. So I don't know.
Yeah, shit's weird. Shit's different.
Sorry to
You
get
know,
so into it. We got
no, I
crazy.
get it. When I'm in Toronto, I'll be like, yeah, like I'll say to the old buddies, yeah, come by the house. My girl will make us dinner, and they'll be like, what? So we're all making dinner together? Be like, no, my girl will make us dinner. We're just gonna talk, and she'll be doing that. You know what I mean? And they just get like uncomfortable, almost like people have been told what to think to such an extent that it's weird.
Yeah, no, there's this idea that anything traditional is like somehow like you're oppressing or like why would any woman want to cook dinner? I don't know. Well, what are your women like doing? Oh, like they want to do coke every weekend and party and and maybe cheat on you and suck random dicks and this and that and their parents they don't get along with and what the hell is that? Like, is that But a woman who wants to make dinner and be a like a fucking woman, like, what are you talking about? Sorry, but like, there's a lot for, and again, in South America, there's tons of really smart women and doctors and female scientists and shit,
Yep.
and they still fucking cook and do some gender role stuff probably 10 times better than any fucking or I shouldn't say any, but most Canadian born women. Like, even like Russian women, similar thing. Like, there's super talented smart Russian women, but they also have some
Mm.
culture, not just Russian, but like pretty like
Are
tons
are
of different
you are you
cultures.
Russian background? Or are you like Eastern European?
uh no, my dad's like Lithuanian, so like kind of, but not really.
Okay.
But I haven't really ever dated a Russian. I've never really dated, like, I think I dated like one chick who was like Turkish, and she did all this like nice stuff for me, and I was just like, didn't even know how to like,
React.
yeah.
Hey everybody, hey everybody. Quick break from the podcast to tell you about Language Blend, the best new way to learn Spanish. Language Blend was co-founded by Jake Nomada, friend of the podcast, decade of experience in Latin America, and Jake and his team, they put everything into this program that they wish they had in terms of how to level up quickly with your Spanish language skills. Because the faster that you can get conversationally fluent in Spanish, the better the experience that you're going to have in Latin America. So go to languageblend.com for more information. Yeah. It's definitely eye opening. It's definitely eye opening when Canadian guys go to Latin America, and Canadian girls as well, and just sort of seeing how the dynamics are different.
Yeah, I think Canadian girls, when they go to like Latin America, they just kind of, they don't like it as much because they're just like, they're kind of being faced with like, look, like, you're not the best. You're not that special, really. There's tons of women in this world that are better than you. Like, I don't know. That's I feel like a lot of women who travel, the women who travel the most are traveling on a guy's dime, like a Canadian women, at least in my opinion. Or they're getting flown somewhere for some kind of like favors, and the women who I just travel. Honestly, I hate those women. Like the women who I have my own money and I travel. It's like, okay, you stay there because I don't give a fuck. I mean, that's just me, but that's because that to me is kind of a more manly trait to like
Mhm.
have money and travel and look for a wife or whatever. These women aren't traveling to look for a husband. They're just traveling to waste more time so that they finally can't have a child, so they don't have to feel bad that they won't.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that's so
Well,
that's
I'll
so deep,
switch.
but it's
I
yeah.
know
Let's
you're talking
switch
about.
switch
I'll
gears.
switch gears before we get in too much trouble. How did you get into
Yeah,
comedy?
sorry. Um, I was 19 when I started comedy. Queens University. I went to Queens, and I started doing sketches there. I did a play. I did plays in high school, and I just like always wanted to do stand up, but didn't know where to start. And then when I was 19, like found a bunch of open mics in Toronto and started doing it, and then started doing it in Kingston at Queens, and um, you know, I was part of Queens TV, and we did sketches and stuff. So I just kept doing it, and I ended up dropping out of Queens and then like getting a job doing photocopier sales, like lie to my resume and end up making way more money. Like I know a guy who spent like so much time. He got his master's. He works at the LCBO. I'm like, you're a fucking loser.
The
Which
LCBO
is
is the liquor store in
liquor
Canada,
store.
by the
Yeah,
way,
it's a liquor store
for
in
the
Ontario.
Americans.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah. So I went and made a bunch of money doing photocopiers, and then I did commercial real estate. But I was doing comedy at the same time, and I like didn't get signed to Yuck Yucks when I was like 23, so I just like kept grinding work and doing comedy, and like then I just decided like, okay, it's either comedy or real estate. I did like office leasing, so I was like, I'm quitting real estate, gonna go do comedy and just bite the bullet and be poor for a bit, and I'm very happy I did it because then from like 2019 to now, just been working to get a following, get people to know who I am, and just do good art, like make funny jokes and make people happy, and point out what I think is stupid, and giving my opinion. Like, people, even in this podcast, are like, well, before we get in too much trouble, like, even the people who are like, fuck it, yeah, let's do it. Like, everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid. What's too far? What's this? What's that? It's so when I just like speak my mind, like, I think there's value to that, because it's scarce. It's scarce that people are just don't give a shit. I mean,
It's
not
true.
as at least in Canada. Like, in the States, you have Alex Jones and you have Rogan and you have like a bunch of people kind of standing up for being able to say
Yeah.
what you want, and just like common sense, and like, whereas in Canada there's Jordan Peterson, and that's like it. And so much of this country has been brainwashed to be like, Jordan Peterson's a right wing, not like, I grew up in the same area as Jordan Peterson and his kids. They're just fucking smart people from Toronto, from the annex, from, he's a UFT prof. Like, oh, what does he know? Well, kind of a lot. Like, he's been studying his whole life. Like, and then people, no, I don't like it. Why? Because he's offensive. Same problem. He gets protested and canceled all the time. All the people who get protested and canceled have money, it seems like. And all the people who don't get protested, nobody even knows who they are, or pays money to go see them. Just like, I'll say this, Just for Laughs in Canada, which is very, censored.
Is it?
Nobody protests Just for Laughs, or any of the comics on Just for Laughs, or any of the comics that, are trying to get on Just for Laughs. Why? Because nobody gives a shit who they are, or what they're saying, or what, oh, the cute little performance there. But nobody's actually saying anything or going against the grain. So,
Right. It's all
um,
like Jerry Seinfeld comedy. Like, what do you think of the telephone? Or I don't even know.
yeah, I mean, even Seinfeld's stuff is like kind of like not woke, or not like, he doesn't
It's
swear,
too
but he
clean. It's
definitely,
like super clean, right?
if you even like, yeah, I mean, more of his stuff is like observational, but if he doesn't even do Just for Laughs anymore, because I think people are too sensitive. Like, Jerry Seinfeld said that he stopped doing colleges in the States because they were too sensitive. So like,
Wow.
that's how sensitive they are. It's beyond Seinfeldian observational comedy that these people are doing. It's indoctrination comedy. That's what it is. Go watch CBC, which is the Canadian state broadcaster, or CTV, which is where all of the comedians who pass the censorship whatever filter, they put them on there, and that's their oh, I'm on CTV, I'm on CBC. They all just talk about like the opposite of what I'm saying, except they're on TV, they're being paid by the government to say it. And then, but if I, so I- that's what my point is, that nobody's protesting that. Even the people who don't like it, like
Mhm.
people who like my comedy, don't really protest because they're upset. They
Mhm.
protested like COVID, because they were like, you're not letting me leave my house except with my dog to walk it. Like, that's the level, and that still took 2 years for a lot of people on the right to actually get pissed off and protest. Whereas people on the left will protest right away. Oh, you said this. Dave Chappelle said trans. We got to shut down Netflix. So uh, people on the people who like my comedy and don't give a shit, and just think, yeah, what's wrong? Why are people so mad? Like, probably like you listen to, you're like, this guy's fucking hilarious. They don't realize it's like, this is under attack by Canada.
Yeah.
Canada is
And you're
leading the
standing up
way,
for all of us.
kind of, and I hate to do it. I don't want to. I just want to make jokes and make money, and be, a public figure that people know. Like, I'm trying to be a household name. That's the name of the game.
I
And if you're not
really
trying
think
to
you're
do
gonna
that,
be. I really think you're gonna be. Because
appreciate
how
that,
can you
man.
not be, dude? Because you're gonna be in the newspaper. It's gonna be bad press, but what's the phrase?
Yeah.
There any publicity is good publicity, and you're gonna be in there.
The big newspapers in Canada, which are the Toronto Star and a few others, they won't write about me at even a hit piece, because they've smartened up and realized that will help me, right? So the only people, like, they won't come out unless I do. So I have to. That's my next goal, man. Is I got to figure out how to get into the Toronto Star with a hit piece where they're just like, this guy is an absolute danger to society, and then they just. That's what people are trying to say. Is like, this guy's a danger to society, and then it's like, why? And then they show a video, and it's me going, "Hello, my name is Olivia Chow." is that dangerous? I mean, I don't know. If that's dangerous, then I don't know I don't know where we're going here, because to me, that's the only thing that's stopping people from getting dangerous is what, like, people are like so mad, like, oh fuck this, oh, like Theresa Tam, she's telling us to wear the masks again, and then they open their phone and they see me going, don't go, and then it makes them laugh instead of fucking going insane and getting angry. So I think that I'm helping. Like the liberals should be putting me on TV more. If anything, if they want to win, they should be putting me on TV. Um,
Keep
right,
the
but they
people
won't.
complacent.
Hopefully, they lose. Pierre Poilievre wins, and I become the something head of CBC. Or
Head
not
of,
that I want to be.
yeah, right. One of my favorite things that you do. Most of my audience is on Twitter because that's where I have one of the biggest audiences, and you're pretty
Right.
big on Twitter too. You got like 15K plus followers at the time of this recording, and you just troll the Toronto Star and the Globe and Mail and CTV endlessly. And whatever article they put out with like some woke stuff, you have, or Six Buzz, you just have the top comment just being like, "This lady is retarded," or something like that, and it's so good, and you're always there.
I know. I mean, it's honestly a bad habit a little bit. Like, it's just like I wish I like didn't have a phone or Twitter, but because I just see some of this stuff and I'm just like, nobody else is going to say this. They're just going to say, and a lot of the people say it from like a fake account or like with a behind a thing with a, a burner account. But I'll just be like, this is retarded. And then people like that post because they're like, it is retarded. That is the only, and that's why I have a joke about this, about how the government tried to get rid of the word retarded because it's the only way to describe politicians, right? And or like so and once you say you can't say this, you can't say this bad word, you can't say that bad word, so what's left? How do I describe Justin Trudeau without calling him retarded? Because any attempt to do that is, that's at the end of the day, that's what people are trying to say when they see something about the gender stuff, or, oh, we're bringing back all the mask mandates. Like, it's retarded. It's not coming. And I don't mean, oh, but that's making fun of mentally challenged people. I don't give a shit. And nobody should, because these sensitivities to all these different groups is taking away our fucking rights to have an opinion. You can't have an opinion on anything. Oh, well, like, you said that, but you used a bad word. So we do, like, no, fuck that. Bring back people standing up to the shit. I think it's only about 2-3 more years of this stuff before things get really, really fun again and really, really interesting again. And it's just going to be like, a cultural revolution of conservatism, and all the companies are going to be on board. They're going to be like, yes, we want to make money. We don't care about this stuff. Fuck it. And we're going to start going back to ignoring people. Like, remember when the Westboro Baptist Church or whatever, that used to always protest comics and comedians and saying they're, and
No.
musicians and Lady Gaga's, and, oh, they're unholy and stuff. And they would protest outside the show, but they wouldn't cancel the show because of it. Right. So that's the big difference is, you know, I think that the people getting mad is never going to go away, but what will go away in 2 to 3 years is the companies folding to them. Eventually, the government, because the government's going to be in such a bad position where the housing's so unaffordable, and so many people are leaving the country to go to Latin America, to go to Eastern Europe, to go Africa, Asia, all these places to escape the extremely high price of living, and they're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they're going to be trying to get people to come back, because a lot of even the immigrants are going to leave. The immigrants are going to come here and go, what? So I'm going to do Uber Eats for 15 years and live in a studio apartment with 15 people, and this is somehow better than living in India with servants. So, like, yeah, it's going to come crashing down. I'm going to be there for it. I'm going to be laughing, making jokes, and I make jokes about everybody. I make jokes about the right too. Like, if I think the right's stupid, like, I have a joke about people with too many fuck Trudeau flags. Like, if you have 3 fuck Trudeau flags, it's the same as having 3 masks. It's like the right wing version. You know what I mean? Because they're both
I'm
like
glad
people.
you have that
Yeah,
awareness.
like, right. It's like, yeah, you're both people that I wouldn't want to hang out with or get to know. And even though those people share a lot of my opinions, I would just be like, look, I don't like you, or
You know,
You
one
know,
thing I
it's
noticed, Ben, is I was scrolling your Twitter and I noticed you were engaging with a one Ed the Sock. And I was like, holy shit, Ed the Sock? I haven't heard that name in 10 plus years. Any Canadian over, I don't know, 30 years old is going to know who Ed the Sock is. What happened to
yeah.
Ed the Sock and what's going on with that?
Ed the Sock, when I was a kid and throughout my teenage years, was actually a funny character. It's basically a puppet. It's a sock with a cigar hanging out his mouth, and he used to be kind of like an asshole. His whole character was, "I'm an asshole. I say what I want." There was literally, go search Ed the Sock woke, and there's videos from like 2013 of him being like, "What is all this woke shit? It's stupid. Who cares about what you think and your sensitivities?" And then whatever happened, they hired a different person to be the puppeteer, and it's not even a puppeteer anymore. It's just a guy on the Head the Sox Twitter saying the most progressive thing possible and going like, if you don't believe this, like, you're a pussy, basically, like trying to like change. You don't like
Really?
trans
I
rights,
didn't even
you know.
know Ed flipped. I didn't know Ed flipped.
Yeah, so like all these things are like Ed just like super like left leaning on every single issue, like every single issue. I'm talking like what's his most recent stuff? Like, if it's about the masks or it's about this or it's about that. And I'll comment on it, and like the person that runs that account is clearly like has a tiny fucking dick, and is some sort of like egotistical like kind of person that they reply and getting little like arguments with people about like their views, and it's like, dude, this is a character from the early 2000s that used to make fun of like pop artists and now is like somehow
Yeah, he was like the
become
most offensive person on television. This was like
right.
Canadian MTV. He was like he was like you
Yes.
remember like DJs or whatever it's called VJs on MTV for the
Yeah.
Americans. This was like a sock puppet that would intro the video and be like, "Here's the next video from Green Day," and then like say something offensive with a cigar in his mouth, and it was hilarious. I had no idea he flipped though.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be on your team, and you guys were going to run together for
No.
president and vice president.
You can look at the episodes from the early 90s of Ed the Sock, and he's like, it's totally not woke. There's a video here that you can find. Um, I don't know how to send it to you on here, but
Anyway, a lot of people won't get it, so it might be. But shit, I had no idea. I had no idea. Hey guys, quick interruption to tell you about Bitrefill. Bitrefill is the best way to convert your crypto into gift card balances. These are gift cards that you can spend at hotels.com, Airbnb, Nike, and many more. You may remember Joel Valenzuela, previous podcast guest. He's been living on crypto exclusively since 2015, and he's a big consumer of Bitrefill. And so I asked Joel, I said, what do you like most about Bitrefill? He said that he likes the instant delivery, the precise amount so that you don't have to juggle a lot of gift cards, and he loves the global selection. Nobody else has this much selection of gift cards, over 10,000 gift card options across hundreds of countries. Go to bitrefill.com to sign up, and you can also use the code MyLatinLife for 10% back off your first purchase. Go to bitrefill.com for more information.
yeah, so that's like part of the upsetting kind of movement away from free speech in Canada is that anybody who's mainstream, anybody who's getting mainstream notoriety, or I guess it's old school mainstream, because nowadays, like what I'm doing is mainstream. Like this guy's a following, this guy's selling tickets, this guy's at Yuck Yuck. That's pretty much mainstream. I actually have multiple tracks playing from my album on Just for Laughs Canada at the radio station, right? So, but they won't put me on their actual festival, which is weird. But
What do you
that's
mean you have tracks playing? Like they have clips
they have
of your
like a
shows?
Sirius
Like a set?
XM. Sirius XM plays like a few of the tracks I have from my album. You know how like
You have an
music
album?
albums have? Yeah, I have an album.
An album of comedy?
Yeah,
Promote it.
it's yeah, sure. So you guys can go check out obviously my website, benbankas.com. It has all the links to everything. But if you go to my YouTube, which is youtube.com/benbankascomedy, there's my comedy special on there called Please Wear a Mask. I think it's over 40,000 views now. And there's also an album. It's on iTunes. It's on Spotify. You can just search Ben Bankas, Please Wear a Mask. And so that 4 tracks from that album also play on Sirius XM satellite radio on the Just for Laughs channel. So
That's
like
good. That's a start.
like I said, I am new school mainstream, but not old school mainstream in the at least in Canada, in the sense of none of the network television or comedy networks in Canada that currently exist at CBC and CTV would have anything to do with me, purely because I go against essentially corporate mandates that say that they no discrimination and no this and no and hate speech and yada yada. And even though what I'm doing isn't those things at all, it's it's that's what those rules are there for. They're there to go, oh,
Right.
you
They don't want
fell
to
into
upset the advertisers, blah, blah, blah.
yes,
Well,
because
that's the
it's all
legacy
connected.
media. And,
Legacy media's
this is
gone.
the
This is
new
the new
media.
media.
Yeah.
This is the new media. Dudes in Mexico fucking with hot Mexican wives just making food for everybody, going, yo, I got Ben Bankas on the line. He's going nuts. He just said trans 80 times.
Oh, dude, I want to ask you one thing so I get a good picture of the Canadian comedy scene. So Yuck Yucks, as you mentioned, it's like a chain of comedy uh, locations,
Clubs.
clubs. What is the significance of getting signed by Yuck Yucks? Because you mentioned it here on the podcast. I also noticed you had like a post where you're like, "Congrats to my buddy, he just got signed to Yuck Yucks." What is the importance of being signed to Yuck Yucks?
So Yuck Yucks has what they call a roster. So like kind of similar to like a hockey. Isn't that like hockey? They have a roster, like who's on the
Uh-huh.
roster, like whatever. So it's like it's a roster of comics that they send out to all their comedy club locations. And then they also do, so they have these physical locations that are basically franchises of the Yuck Yucks name, and then they also have Yuck Yucks on tour gigs, and then they also do corporate gigs. So the Yuck Yucks on tour is like if they don't have a club in that town, they'll work with a bar, they'll put up a Yuck Yuck sign once a month, and they'll do a show. And so basically, the only way to get a ton of professional stage time is through Yuck Yucks, because they have the most stages that you can get on. And the way that the owner of Yuck Yucks, Mark Breslin, who started the company in 1976 in the basement of a community center on Church Street in Toronto, basically has always done it is that if you want to work with us, he basically, it's like an exclusivity contract. So you get signed, and it's, you can't perform at these other comedy clubs. Potentially you could, but maybe with our permission. And you basically, you're part of the roster, and now we're going to start actively getting you work. Like they basically
Uh-huh.
work
Or
as
like your agent.
they're like an agent. There's like a agency connected to Yuck Yucks called Funny Business Inc., and they will send you out to all these gigs, and some of them are cool, and some of them are private gigs, and some of them are like a hockey rink and for a Christmas party for companies, and some of them are woke, and some of them don't give a shit. And so it's significant because Mark or Norm Macdonald was, part of the roster. Russell Peters was part of the roster at one point. I believe Jim Carrey at one point was part of the roster. Like,
Mike
there's,
Myers.
yeah, there's a lot of comics that got on the roster, and that kind of created a prestige about it. And then, it does give you permission to say, I'm a professional comic. I work with Yuck Yucks. So it's really it's not the first step in comedy, but it's like once you get good enough to get signed, like that the owner of Yuck Yucks will watch you and go, I want you to work for Yuck Yucks. Like that's what it is. So that's why there's significance there. And that happened to me. I got signed in 2019, and like I tried the first time in like 2014, and they said no, basically. Like, and I was upset. So
Devastating.
I went out and did a bunch of other stuff while doing comedy, made a bunch of money, feel better about myself. I mean, not tons of money. Like I never made even over 100 grand doing the other stuff, but like close to,
Mhm.
which is way more money than you make as an amateur open mic comedian working part-time job at at one point I was working in the kitchen of a vegan restaurant. Like you're not making a ton of money there. So
There you go.
that's the significance. it's a big deal for all any open mic comic in Canada is like, I want to get signed to Yucks. That's like and then once they get signed to Yucks, some people don't. They just that's all they ever
And so are
do.
you
And
signed now, or they dropped you because of woke shit, or what happened after 2019?
technically, like so I am rostered, but like I'm like doing gigs. I'm not doing the same gigs that I would do when I first got signed, which is like I wasn't even headlining at the beginning, right? So I'm like doing middle, they call it the middle spot or the host spot. So you either go up first or second for the first while, right?
Mhm,
And you get paid less than the headliner, but you still get free hotel and free stay and money to travel. And so it's like it's a cool fun experience, and then you work your way up. I worked my way up, then I was headlining, then I started getting a following. People started coming specifically to see me. It started with, two people coming to a show, maybe three people came to my show, and the rest of the people are just random audience members that are coming for Yuck Yucks because they know the name brand, right? That like they will sell out in any
mhm,
small town because they're like, Yuck Yucks is coming. We don't know who, but I would personally have like two, then four, then eight, then 10. And then it got to the point where it's like, oh, this entire, over the course of 4 years, this entire club is here to see me.
yep,
So I need to work out a new deal because I don't want to fill 300 seats for $200. So now they obviously know that. So we've worked something out where it's like
mhm.
it's the same thing in the US. It's called door deal. You get a door deal, or like bands do it too. It's like,
Right, how many people you
you get,
bring in?
you get like 60 to 80% of the door, depending on the
Uh-huh.
venue and of ticket sales. And that's how
Good, good. What
performers
about,
make
we
money.
didn't mention Second City. Was that a big part of your come up?
Not really. My dad made me go to Second City, the school for like the preliminary comedy thing. When
Improv lessons?
I'd already been doing comedy for like 4 years at the time. But he's like, if you want to do, he's like a Jewish guy from Eastern Europe. He's like, if you want to do comedy, you got to go to school. I was like, I don't think it works like that, but I ended up going to the course, and the guy teaching it was a comic that I already knew from the scene, who was like shit, was not a good comic. So I was like, so I didn't really. And then I remember meeting with the head of Second City and being like, "How can you guys help me?" They literally don't do anything. All they do is take money from dumb people who want to sign up for their courses, and then if you want to do course after course after course, eventually you can kind of work with Second City, become an instructor yourself. Like it's like a pyramid scheme a little bit. And then you can it looks good on a resume if you've done those Second City courses if you're doing acting, but for stand up it doesn't really matter. And like they don't. I did stand up there once at the old Second City that held 400 or 500 people. That was beside Wayne Gretzky's restaurant. That whole building was torn down in Toronto. I was there 3 years in for a comedy competition called Fresh Meat Competition that somebody had to nominate me for. And I killed that competition and did not get moved on to the next round because of political thing. And so they only could choose one white guy to move on, one straight white guy to move on. And they chose this other straight white guy, and that guy's nowhere now. So,
Hmm.
that actually he's not nowhere. I think that guy actually writes with This Hour's 22 Minutes, which to me is nowhere because he gets paid very little and nobody knows who he is.
Mhm. So would it be fair to say without the support of Yuck Yucks and Just for Laughs, it's very difficult to make it as a comedian in Canada? And you can even be blacklisted or what?
Yes and no. There's a bunch of comics making money that aren't with Yucks. Like there's a guy named Nima who's not with Yuck Yucks, makes a bunch of money. There's a couple other guys who are but the thing is, if you're not with Yuck Yucks or you're not getting into Just for Laughs, you have to have a following or basically like be famous to make money. There's no like if you don't have a following and you can't get Just for Laughs and you can't get Yuck Yucks and you can't get anything, then yeah, you're fucked. You're like literally
Mhm.
fucked.
Mhm.
There's a
Well, I
few
can
other
tell you
comedy
a
clubs you
lot
can
of my
perform at,
buddies,
but
sorry to interrupt. I can tell you at this point, a lot of my buddies know who you are. And when I mentioned, yo, I'm gonna get Ben Bankas
so
on, they would say like the Olivia Chow guy. I'm like, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's I'm always battling too to like make sure that I'm trying to do my art properly. I mean, as much as it's just me going ching chang bing bang sometimes, I have to like fucking um, you know, my actual stand up is what people are coming and paying money to see, right? They're not paying money to see me go online because it's
Right.
free. They can
I
watch it
like your
over.
audience interaction. What do they call that? Crowd work. I love your crowd work.
Thanks. People do like the crowd work, and I like being able to do crowd work because it gives people, it makes people feel like they paid for something really unique that's happening once, and they don't feel like ripped off or something. Because if you're just doing material, the material might not
Right.
always work. It's like my material, like sometimes I want to dig into the crowd first, get them on my side, then I'll go into my material. It just works
Right.
that
Because
way. It's just
material
how
is
I work.
basically a YouTube video. You know what I mean? But crowd work
Yeah.
is once in a lifetime, I guess, or
People
unique.
always say when I would go to comedy shows and they'd be like, the best part was your improv there in that moment where you just said some random thing. And I'm like, oh, well. And now you see some of the most successful comics, Matt Rife, bunch of other, even like Chris D'Elia. He's not, obviously he
Sugar
raped or whatever.
Sammy. Sugar Sammy does a lot of crowd
Um,
work.
Sugar Sammy does it too. Russell Peters, but like a lot of the most successful comics have to do crowd work because they're selling an experience that's not just every single person's going to get the same experience. Now you go, I've seen Louis C.K. who does basically material, and I've seen him like 3 shows in a row, and they all felt unique to me as well, even though the material was majority the same. So it's not, you don't have to do crowd work to make something feel unique. And a lot of my material is like my best part of my show right now, but doing good crowd work will make your material better at the long run, or at least knowing how to. Like Louis C.K. could probably do a fucking hour of crowd work any day, and it would be like the most epic thing ever.
I noticed Sugar Sammy's crowd work is very pre-planned or formulaic. Like he has a bit, he'll call on the Indian guy, he has a bit for that. If you work in construction, he has a bit for that. And it was like very formulaic and it kind of came through a bit too much. But I still think he's funny.
I know what you mean. Like a lot of comics do fake crowd work where it's like you said, it's they know what they're gonna say. They go, look, this guy's got a Adam's apple, and then they have a whole bit about that, and then they have, oh, this guy's this, and so I try not to do that. Like sometimes I'll say similar things. Like I have one line that I try not to say as much because then I see like other people like will see it and then they start saying something similar too. Like if I'm doing it at a comedy club where there's and I'm not headlining and it's just a bunch of comics, like I'll just be like, oh, these guys look like the cover of some university, whatever, name drop a university, brochure. And it's like
Right. It's like,
because
where
it's like
did you go,
one
Brock? And then you have a Brock bit.
Yeah, or it's like no, it'd be like a black guy with two white guys with a black guy and a lesbian and a Indian guy, and I'll be like, this looks like a brochure for Seneca College, or something. Like it's right. Like sometimes I'll say that, but that's not always like every time, and I try to just say what I think people look like or what I and people
Yeah.
like it. And then we're about to post actually a bunch of really cool crowd work. We had to kick a guy out of a show in Burlington recently because he was being too annoying, but the crowd work was fun.
Yeah, I think of your videos on Instagram. The Olivia Chow ones are okay, but like after you've seen a couple, you're kind of like over it, I guess. Like at the
Mm-hmm.
first time, the shock value is insane and it's hilarious
Mm-hmm.
because no one's ever experienced something like that before. But once you've seen it, it kind of gets a little boring. But just like when you just post the bits from your shows, like I'm like refreshing the page, like waiting for you to post another bit from your shows.
Yeah, we're gonna October 1st, my special is gonna come out on YouTube and it's gonna be really good and it's gonna be a mix of a couple different shows that we did. And those clips are really good. And that's some of my biggest views have came from that. I honestly was doing the Olivia Chow shit because I mean, at first I was just doing it because it was hilarious, but then I was doing it because people were like, "This should not be allowed," and then that made it funnier to like a lot of my like fans who were like, "Do it, do the most offensive Olivia Chow you can." So it's just me being like, "Ooh," like just actually being a retarded person, and people enjoyed that. And but yeah, that's just gonna go away. Like people will get mad and be like, "This is enough. I can't stand watching this Olivia Chow stuff." And he's like, "Okay, then unfollow me." Like, I don't know. That's what I'm doing right now because I have a special coming out soon. Then there's gonna be tons of clips from the special. There's gonna be always new stuff. Come see me live. A lot of the people who complain online, it's like, "Have you seen me live?" No. Do you subscribe to me on Patreon? No. Have you listened to my podcast? No. So not only have you given me no money, you haven't supported me on the endeavor that you're claiming that you like, which is me just talking, or have you shared my special or whatever. So um yeah, no, there's definitely a part of the nuance in the art is just like keeping it fresh and figuring out what needs to happen, and then what's in the news, right? Like if Olivia Chow makes a crazy speech where she's like, "Ooh," and I'm like, well, I guess it's time. And then, people like you might not, but a lot of people are DMing me like the video being like, you have to fucking please. And I'm like, okay, fine. People want it.
Yeah,
Do it. Why not?
yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think the Olivia Chow thing, to me, I'm bored of fucking doing it. Although it does make me laugh really hard. Like when I just do like the airplane noise recently, the airplane thing, to me, that's like, I don't know. It makes me fucking laugh when I rewatch. If I watch it and laugh, then I post. I don't post anything that I don't think's funny.
You have some good bits about Quebecers too. I feel like Quebecers have been getting away with not being made fun of in Canadian comedy for a long time. Like that was an untouchable subject as well. And
Hmm.
it seems like you want to hit that one as well. And you're like, I will bully a Montrealer into speaking English.
Yeah, you like, no, I love how much of my stand up clips you've seen. You're actually probably one of my more sophisticated fans because I have a lot of fans who are like, oh fuck, Theresa, damn, leave your child. But yeah, there's a lot of different bits that I've done, and a lot of that's because I'm traveling too. Like I did that bit in Montreal, so sometimes those bits are like once I do it there, it work there. Maybe I don't. I try like I think I tried a couple more Montreal things, a couple places. People don't give a shit. You
Outside
know,
of Quebec, yeah.
if you're in Quebec, it's funny. It's the same thing with Vancouver. You're in Vancouver, and then you come to Ontario. You're like, I was in Vancouver. People are like, I don't. What? Shut up. Like we don't care. So it's not like the states as much where people are not as familiar with the whole country in Canada as like Americans are familiar with their whole country. They're not like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I've been to LA, I've been to Chicago, I've been to New York, been to Florida, been to Texas, but here it's like, oh yeah, we grew up in Toronto and never went anywhere. We went to the States. We never went to like more people in Ontario have probably been to like Florida than Vancouver.
I think that's true.
Like it's crazy. So we don't know our own country that much. We don't have this cohesive culture that I can make fun of universally across it, but definitely within each area, like I'll figure out what the soft spot is or what the how they how to make it entertaining for them, and that's actually my favorite part about comedy is going to new places, finding something funny about it, tapping into it, telling it to them, and they love
Right.
it, and
The
then it
natives in Winnipeg, like that bit only works there.
yeah, well, natives in Winnipeg. You can get away with native jokes pretty much anywhere. Actually, that's probably the one universal joke in Canada. Let's see. You go, you got natives here, and then, yep. Like, I don't know. But yeah,
Ben Bankas fighting for democracy and Canadian culture. Before we let you go, and I got to get going too, but I
yeah.
want who I wanted to know, have any famous Canadians like come out in support of you or said that they liked your comedy, be it hockey players or other people in comedy or whatever?
Well, I think we've had some famous hockey players come to shows, but not say anything. And then after somebody was like, "That was so and so," so I think I don't even know. I think apparently Joe Thornton came to one of my shows, which is pretty cool, and Bob Cajun. So that's pretty cool if true. I mean, Jordan Peterson has shared a couple of my things when I was doing the mayor thing. Gad Sad, who's like another intellectual guy that was on Rogan, shared a couple of my things. Um, Other than that, there was a woman from who left This Hour's 22 Minutes. She used to be like the main funny lady there. And she was a stand up for a long time. I forget her name. What was her name? You guys know? The lady from This Hour's 22 Minutes who had on my podcast. Anyway, she was kind of famous. But like I've talked to Russell Peters once on FaceTime because my friend was at his house and was like, "Yo, this is Russell Peters." And then was just like, "Russell Peters, meet this loser." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." But that guy's kind of an idiot. But not really many like super like there's obviously like certain comics have shared some of my stuff. Ryan Long, who's pretty big in the States now, is Canadian and went down to the States recently. which is what I within the last 4 years, and that's what I'm trying to do as well. Is go down to the States. Trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. But I mean, Jordan Peterson's pretty big one, to be honest. Like he's probably
Yeah.
one of the bigger Canadian celebrities that you could ask for to at least retweet something, acknowledge that it's funny. Like he retweeted a couple things of mine and commented on them, and it was funny. Um, but yeah, that's there's not that many Canadians that are, you're not. I'm not. Ryan Gosling's not going to be like, yo. You ever see Theresa Tam impression? Like,
What about Six Buzz? Do you know the founders of Six Buzz? Have you built a relationship with them?
I don't have a relationship with Six Buzz, but I know that the guy from Real Toronto News, and he's a cool guy, and he was saying that like Six Buzz, they'll just steal content, like they'll steal his content. He has a podcast, then Six Buzz will post a clip from the Real Toronto guy's podcast without tagging
Credit.
him, without
Mm.
without putting a watermark, without crediting him at all, and without mentioning where it came from, and then they'll get a couple million views on it, and the Real Toronto guys are like, yeah, that's not cool, in so many words. That's what he said. But it's definitely, Six Buzz has a lot of power, and they could easily, like, if tomorrow they woke up and they're like, you know what, let's pump Ben Bankas, let's fucking pump him, he needs it, let's do it. They could do that, like, because Six Buzz posted one of my videos in 2019 where I wore a um, Ottawa Senators hat and pretended to be pissed off that they were firing Don Cherry. And I was like, I'm canceling my cable, canceling the cable, canceling Rogers, canceling Bell. And it was this video, and it went pretty viral, and they posted it. And then I posted another video with the same character the next day. They posted it again, and then they deleted it in a few hours because they realized there was all these, like, there's always like black people like texting, like message, like like being like, yo, this white boy is, get him off the screen. And I guess they just listened. They just listened. They were just like, which is like, obviously that's racist, but like nobody gives a shit about that. But that's like, yo, this guy's too white, don't give him, like, it was basically, this guy's white, don't make him famous. Like,
Oh, I
and
like I like your
he's not
Jamaican nanny bits, by the way. That shit's
Jamaican nanny.
hilarious. Yeah, that shit
Yeah,
is hilarious.
yeah, I had a Jamaican teacher. Yeah, the Jamaican nurses at my
The
mom's
Jamaican
senior center.
old folks home. Yeah, that shit is
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, it's still ongoing. But yeah, the whatever I was just saying there made a lot of sense, but I forgot what I was saying.
No, yeah, no, you got to keep. It's got to be like a recurring cast of characters that you do. You could even do a Don Cherry or something like a reincarnation. But I like
Yeah,
the
I need.
recurring cast of characters and like keep like building up the Jamaican nurse and keep building these people up. It's funny.
Yeah, I think within the next year, the transition with my stuff is going to be like just more stand up clips, more podcasts and stand up, and then that's how things are going to really blow up. And then the odd, fucking Theresa Tam, or the odd video that has to happen because people need. If it's in my head, then I'm gonna do it. And like I know I risk putting myself in a kind of a box by doing certain things, but it's like I don't really care because I'm selling tickets. People come to the show, they laugh, they know what the fucking deal is. So who gives a shit?
All right, well, let's wrap up the episode. Ben, take this time to hit the audience with your call to action. Let them know where they can find you.
Hell yeah. BenBankas.com, at Ben Bankas, BenBankas, and then the number 2 on Instagram, at Ben Bankas on Twitter, Ben Bankas Comedy on YouTube, Ben Bankas Comedy on TikTok. And yeah, you can check out my special. It's for free. It's called Please Wear a Mask. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. The album is on Spotify and on iTunes. You can buy it actually on iTunes. And come see, if you're in Canada, come see one of my shows, benbankas.com. You can get tickets. Toronto, Halifax, St. John's. And then we're going to be coming back to Vancouver, Surrey, Calgary, Victoria, Edmonton, Red Deer, Regina, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, all by the end of 2023. So love you guys. Thank you so much for any new fans. That's awesome. And anybody who already knows who I am and liked the show, you're welcome.
Sweet. Well, this has been another episode of the My Latin Life podcast. Again, our guest today was Ben Bankas. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you to the audience. Catch you the next time.